Hello and welcome to my newest tutorial about a random material generator. You may have watched the previous tutorial, but because loads and loads of things have changed with random material generator, I'm forced to make a new video tutorial to explain all the new features and also explain what have changed. So without any further delay, I'll try to make this tutorial as fast as possible in order to be much shorter than the last time. What I'm going to explain to you today is random material generator. It's a tool that is part of my add-on Gyes or Gyes. And Gyes is a multi-tool, as you may know, as I've read it by threads. It's something that I made for multiple purposes and in order to do multiple tasks. Currently, the only two tools that are inside Gyes is random material generator and the random texture generator. For random texture generator, I'm going to make a separate tutorial and I'm going to post it in my random texture generator thread. So now in this tutorial, we're going to concentrate only on random material generator. How are you going to download a random material generator? You're going to find a link to this address, which is https github.com/kilom/gs. You're going to find the link also in the YouTube more info box. Also, you're going to find the links to my threads that also have this link to the GitHub website. Here, you're going to find and download section, which is here. This is the sixth section exactly. If you're going to click on it, it's going to send you in the download section. Here you can choose the type of the file you want to download. Zip is the most used file for all operation systems. GS works, as far as I know, on all operation systems. I have tested on Ubuntu, I have tested on macOS, and people say to me that works fine on Windows as well. So if you click download as zip, probably going to download the zip file. If you are on macOS and Linux, you can download this file format because it tends to be more small. When you download this, it's going to give you a zip file. When you unzip it, when you uncompress it, it's going to give you a folder like similar, a GS folder that inside is going to contain these files. The only thing you need to do is take the GS folder and put it inside your add-ons folder. You take the folder and just drag and drop it in your add-ons folder. Where that folder can be, it depends on your system. In Windows is inside the Blender Foundation, Blender add-ons, and several. In macOS it's inside the Blender app file, and in Linux is inside the folder that you have installed Blender 2. So you have to put this in add-ons folder of Blender, and then you can open Blender. I'm going to open it here to show you how it works. I'm opening it from the terminal, but of course you can open it any way you want. I'm opening it from a terminal because it shows me, as you can see here, errors and mistakes I have done with my code. So you can open it normally like any other time you open Blender, nothing going to be a problem. So all you have to do is going to File, User Preferences, Add-ons. If you don't have an add-on folder in Windows, for example, you can go in here in File and define where your scripts are. So you can create a folder inside Blender or somewhere else and choose the folder here to find the add-ons. So here in add-ons, all you have to do to type in the search box, make sure you have all enabled, all chosen, GS, and it's going to give you this enter here, which is Blender multi-tool, and you're going to click activate it here. The first thing you're going to see if you watched the previous tutorial is that it shows the GUI without choosing an object and without creating a material. GS no longer depends on what you select and how you select it and what you have inside this selection. Because it's a generic tool, from now on is going to display the GUI without any delay. So you see here it says Gyes, and it has the first option has here is the tool. So we have to choose the tool of random material generator. If you go here, RMG, you see it says random material generator. Another thing that you're going to observe if you have watched the previous tutorial is that we have a new option called mode. There's simple mode, there's simple percentage, templates, and help mode. We're going to cover all of that. In simple mode, you have all these options here, which is the basic parameters of a material. What happens here is that if you click, for example, random material now, it creates a random material. Sorry, 1 second to remove the texture here. Okay. So it creates a random material. As you can see, you can click it again, and it continues to create random materials. This is working very nicely. So already it can create random materials with a press of the button without using without using the GUI at all. But as many people have asked me why create a random material generator, who wants to create completely random material, sometimes you want it. But the beauty of random material generator is that it lets you control exactly how much randomization your material is going to take. And this is exactly what the simple mode is doing. It says to random material generator which parameters to randomize and which parameters it shouldn't randomize. For example, okay. Let's say that we don't want our material to be transparent. So let's disable transparency. We don't also want to randomize transparency because we want the transparency settings to remain the same. So you go here and you disable transparency. Sorry, 1 second to remove again the texture. My mistake. So as you can see now, there's no transparency on our material at all every time we randomize. Let's say that, okay, you are happy with the shaders and you don't want to randomize the shaders as well. You go here and you disable diffuse shader and specular shader. So now all this is going to randomize is diffuse color, diffuse intensity, specular color, specular intensity, and specular hardness. Let's randomize it. You see immediately that the shaders remain the same, they don't change, and it randomizes only these areas. Now, let's go to our next mode. Let's say that we are happy with the settings. The only thing that we're not happy with is the diffuse color. So let's disable everything and just keep only diffuse color enabled. Let's randomize diffuse color. Okay. Maybe too bright, maybe too, yes, this is nice. So now we see that the randomization of the color is completely random. We don't have any control of how much randomization is happening on the diffuse color. But we actually have this option to control exactly how much random the randomization really is. Change from simple mode to simple percentage mode. If you see here, all that's going to display you is the same parameters it's displayed in the simple mode. Diffuse shader, diffuse intensity, specular shader, specular color, etc. If you go back to the simple percentage mode, you see that complaints that diffuse shader is disabled. Of course it's disabled because you have disabled in simple mode. Diffuse intensity is disabled, specular is still disabled, etc. The only thing that's given us is the diffuse color because it's the only thing that we haven't disabled. So, if you observe down here, you're going to see a general percentage. Let's try with a general percentage first, and then we're going to explain what the diffuse color percentage is. If you drag your cursor and you decrease the percentage to 10%, let's say in 10%. Let's see what happens. You immediately see that the color is slightly changing. And of course, if you decrease further, the color is decreased even slightly. What percentage really means? Let me explain how percentage really works. Let's take here, for example, intensity. Intensity starts from 0 and goes up to 1. This is a new feature, by the way, the simple percentage. You're not going to find in the old video. And the percentage means that, for example, if I do a 50% percentage of 1, let's say that I am in 0.5 here. Okay. And let's say that the general percentage is 50%. What that means? 50% means that I take your current value, our current value is 0.5, and I'm going to randomize it in a range of 50% of this value. So that means that this value is going to be randomized in a range of 0.27. 0.27. Now, this 0.27 is 50% below the value and 50% above the value. So it's 0.12 below and 0.12 above. So it goes 0.12 like here and 0.12 plus here, 62. Because 50 and 12 is 62 and 50 minus 12 is 38. So it's going to start the randomization from 0.38 and it's going to end at 0.62. Anything between this range is going to give us the 50% randomization. So actually you can see that already we are very focused the area of how much randomization is happening inside our material. Of course, every time you randomizes, the current value changes. So the range of the randomization also changes. For example, the next time you may have here. So the range starts then from here. Or if you go down here, the range starts from here. So it depends. Every time you randomize, you actually change the current value. And of course, you change the range of the randomization. All this is fine, but why we need this? We're going to need this. First of all, let's say that if a specific percentage is 0%, that means that only the general percentage is used. So in this case, diffuse color percentage is 0%. What that means, it uses the general percentage instead. The reason why I make this in this way is because if you have enabled several parameters, for example, let's say go back to symbol and enable all these parameters. Okay. Now, if you go back here, you see that has enabled all the parameters we have enabled in symbol mode. If we want diffuse shader to take, diffuse color example to take only 10%, and then we want the diffuse intensity to take a 50% randomization, everything else that is 0% is going to take the general percentage. So if you want to actually have the same percent randomization in multiple parameters, you let them be 0% and you just use the general percentage for them. So it's a quick way to actually set up percentage without you having to actually set up the same percentage again and again for every single parameter that's enabled and disabled. So this is actually percentage randomization. Let's see it. And let's see, for example, diffuse color a 50% here. No, sorry, I have enabled, yeah, that's my mistake. I have enabled all of the randomization. Let's go back, disable other randomization. Come on, okay. Go back to simple percentage and randomize it. You see already how radically the color changes. Now, see this. Only 5%. Look what happens though. Look at it. You cannot even see the color changes. They're so slightly. So it's very useful if you want to actually have a very focused control of how much randomization is taking place on your material. Uh, from there on, let's see the other modes. We have explained the simple mode, and we have explained the simple percentage mode. Templates, it's a future feature. I'm going to implement it, I hope, in the next few months, and you have to wait for that. This is the help mode. This is, as far as I know, this is the only add-on for Blender 2.5 that has a help section. Inside here, you can find an explanation of how a random material generator works. So let's go back to help. And help file, as we said, displays the help. You're going to resize it the way you want. And of course, here you have the option of text width, which is actually how it wraps the text. You can see, make it more easy. And of course, you can find help here. It's going to explain you how each mode works and how exactly you randomize and how you use the tool. So the last thing I want to show you is how you randomize multiple objects. This. Now you can see we have created 4 different objects, boxes, and each one has no material assigned to it. By hitting random material, you create different materials for each box. See here, random 0.16, 17, 19, and 18. If it doesn't find the material, it creates a new material, its name is random. The thing that you have to remember, it doesn't matter if you go and change the name. It's completely up to you. If you don't like the name random.018, you can actually change it yourself. It's not really a problem. Random material generator doesn't care. It doesn't care to actually find a specific name for a material. Another feature that I'm going to actually, I was getting some complaints that the materials were a bit dull. But this wasn't actually a problem with the materials, because people actually didn't find it exciting, because it was a problem that they didn't have a texture assigned to them. So what I did is actually create textures and randomize these textures as well with this option, texture. See now what happens. You see already we have some interesting options and some interesting materials. You see? You see? And of course, the texture that are created, because if you go here, you're going to see random texture 0.6. You actually can use it for different purposes. For example, we have here assigned to the diffuse, and if I'm not mistaken, diffuse, a basic color, diffuse color. You can assign it to, for example, as a bump map. And if you go here, you actually see already that it has a bit the surface of an orange. Or you can change this. You see, you can actually see how the bump map affects our surface. So you can actually use the randomized texture for text specularity. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't randomize the features here. What it randomizes is the type, it's the settings inside the texture, but it doesn't randomize this section here, which is the mapping and the influence. So it only randomizes this area here, and so you can actually set up only for the bump map or only for anything else. Or you can go up here and then hit randomize again, and you can actually see it creates new texture. If you want to keep your old texture intact, you don't want to affect it, you like it, you can randomize another texture slot. Randomized textures communicates with random texture generator. What actually is doing is hitting a random texture here. Each time you actually hitting a random material button. So random, it hits this button here each time you hit this button here. So these two tools are connected with each other, and that's the beauty of Gyes. It's that those tools are connected with each other. They're not actually separate add-ons or separate scripts. They're actually a collection of scripts that are made to really cooperate with each other. So this is all for now. I'm going to explain with the next tutorial how this section works, which is the history tool. Have a nice day.